the Mets find a way to eke out a win late night in LA against the Dodgers, winning 4-3 in 10 innings. Wasn't a pretty game, one that was definitely stressful, playoff kind of atmosphere, playoff intensity, but the Mets eke out a win. And to be honest, listen, I think if everyone's being honest with themselves here, we can all say we thought the Mets were going to lose that game last night. That seems like the type of game that the Mets always lose. It's a 1 o'clock in the morning. They're winning the whole game. They look like they're in control, but they're missing opportunities. They had a lot of opportunities in this game, and they were missing them early on. And we all thought it was going to come back to bite us against a team in the Dodgers that has a great offense, and we were only able to score 2 runs up until the 10th inning. So it just seemed like one that was going to be a heartbreaking loss, but the Mets get the win, and they proved me and probably most of you wrong as well. But yeah, they came through when they needed to. Like I said, they had a lot of chances in this game. They were 3 for 9 with runners in scoring position, so it was definitely better than normal. They left 8 men on base, but the Dodgers left 11 men on base. So both teams were pitching well. There was opportunities for both teams to win this game, and the Mets just did a little bit better. The big offensive stars of this game were Lindor. He went 2 for 5, obviously with that leadoff home run, that RBI single in the 10th. Nimmo went 1 for 4 with a double, and a big double there that ended up kind of screwing them a little bit because it did bounce over the fence for a ground rule double. So he should have had 2 RBIs. He ended up with 1. And then Alvarez with a double off to the opposite field off the right field fence in the 10th inning, scoring a run. Really good job there by Alvarez, a guy who looked lost at the plate most of this game, but comes through when it matters. We're all concerned about Alvarez, but if he's going to do that, if he's going to start hitting the ball the other way hard again, he can be fine. So really happy with what we saw from Alvarez in the 10th inning, even though he looked overmatched and kind of just didn't have his head in the game early on. Also, Blackburn, a great start for him today, coming off of the injured list, hasn't started a game since last August, and he gives you 5 innings and no runs against the Dodgers. Not what I expected. I expected this to be a high-scoring game with Blackburn. He wasn't that good before he went on the injured list last year, and I wasn't expecting much out of him coming into this game, but he proved me wrong, and he did a great job. He just looked in control. His stuff looked nasty. I just really liked what I saw from Blackburn, and for his reward, he's going to the bullpen. After the game, Mendoza said he's most likely going to the bullpen now, which makes sense. He came up as a 6th starter. Now he's going to take that long man in the bullpen kind of, that spot. So really good work out of Blackburn. What I will say is the bullpen usage was really strange to me in this game. Obviously, Brazoban struggling really screwed the plan. I think that Mendoza planned on having Brazoban come in and go at least 2 innings, go in the 6th and the 7th, and then maybe go to Kranick and then go to Diaz, right? And it just didn't work out that way. You had Brazoban who came in and struggled, gave up a couple hits and a walk, 1 hit and 2 walks to load the bases. He ended up getting out of it with no runs scored, but he threw over 30 pitches, and he couldn't come out for a second inning. So that kind of screwed up how they were going to work the bullpen. Then Kranick came in, gave up the home run to Ohtani, and he also threw a lot of pitches, so he wasn't going to come out for another inning. But I really hated Stanek in the 8th. That wasn't a good spot for him. I was nervous about that. I was on the edge of my seat. I really thought he was going to blow the game there. He didn't. He proved me wrong. He did a great job in the 8th. I mean, he did put a base runner on, but overall, he got through it. He did what he was supposed to do. But I just hate Stanek in that spot. I don't think he should be in there. I understand it seemed like Garrett wasn't available last night, or they were using him as like a last option, so Stanek needed to be in the game. But I hated that spot for him. And it only happened because Brazoban struggled for the first time in a long time, and he couldn't go that second inning. So I can't put it all on Mendoza. His plan fell apart. You could see what his plan was, but it all fell apart on him. I just hated Stanek in that spot. But hey, it worked out. And then obviously in the 9th, Diaz blows his first save of the year with some help from the umpire. I mean, you throw a pitch right down the middle of the plate, basically, and it's called a ball. It changed the entire, that entire at-bat against Ohtani. Ohtani ends up hitting the sac fly, they tie the game, and they go to the 10th. So Diaz didn't look sharp. He was a little bit he didn't have great command of his pitches. I mean, he still had good stuff. He was throwing hard. His slider was moving. He just couldn't command, and that got him into some trouble. So, listen, Diaz gave up 1 run on a sac fly. No big deal. It's not a huge thing going forward. But then having Castillo start the 10th inning to get Freddie Freeman, I understand the concept there, trying to get Freeman, but the guy has to face 3 hitters. And he ends up walking Freeman, so he doesn't even do his job there. So not a great job. I don't understand putting Castillo in. I don't love Buto in that spot either, but I'd much rather have Buto in there than Castillo. I know Castillo's been good since coming to the Mets, but he doesn't have enough trust build up to be pitching the 10th inning against the Dodgers. I didn't love it. It ended up working out, though. He did give up the run, but then Buto comes in and gets the last 2 outs of the inning, and the Mets win. Really a crazy game. If you were up, you weren't falling asleep during this game because it was exciting, and there was a lot of things happening late, back and forth kind of thing. So, really good game, game 1. The Mets are now 3-1 against the Dodgers so far this year. And we have McGill versus Kershaw tonight. And listen, Kershaw's not Kershaw anymore, but he seems to be when he plays against the Mets. So we'll see what happens there. We're getting really lucky not seeing Yamamoto in either of these Dodgers series. So the Dodgers pitching is an issue, and the Mets need to take advantage of it, and I hope that starts tonight. Now, there was some really bad news out of this game. Mark Vientos looks like he's down with a hamstring injury. He struggled to get out of the box on a ground ball he hit last night. Looked like he could have beat it out, but he ended up pulling his hamstring. I don't know what happened. Hamstrings are weird. It could be it's a strain and he's back in three or 4 weeks, or it's popped and he's out for the whole year. Who knows? I don't know what's going to happen with Vientos, but that's going to open up an opportunity now, most likely, for Ronny Mauricio. We just talked about this yesterday. I did a video about this. In my video yesterday, I talked about Mauricio and said he probably wasn't going to be up for a month or 2. But looking at it now, there's no other infielder on the 40-man roster. So unless Vientos is going on the 60-day injured list, you can't add someone to the 40 unless you're going to DFA someone or remove someone from the 40-man. I don't see them really doing that. So I think at this point it's probably going to be Mauricio. There's been a couple of people on Twitter who have reporting that it's going to be Mauricio. I don't trust that necessarily, but it's got to be. At this point, who else is going to come up? And Mauricio is going to get his chance now, obviously, with Vientos going down. We don't know how long it's going to be on Vientos. Maybe it is a 60-day injured list and they add someone to the 40-man. I don't know. But right now, it's Mauricio. He's the only real option unless you're going to remove someone from the 40-man or Vientos is going to be out long term. So, decisions to make, options there. And that's really all I got. Hopefully the Mets keep it going here in LA tonight with McGill against Kershaw. And until next time, let's go Mets.